I am so glad you are here. It is Wednesday in my world, and that means it is time for It Is Alive, our Wednesday show here from Megas Books. My name is Liz. I'm one of the owners here. I'm the most active owner, so I'm the one you're most likely to encounter and run into if you stop by at the shop. Also, if you're emailing us or if you're ordering something from our website at megasbooks.com. Hi. I like to start with what are we drinking, what are we wearing? So here's what I'm wearing today from the little shop. Love these. With the exception of my wedding rings, which are on my ring fingers, and my engagement ring, because we did do a recommitment ceremony, so I do have two wedding rings. All of the other rings I'm wearing, $6.95, whether they're these glass ones, the flip bead ring, or the wooden ring. And of course, the flip bead ring does as promised, flips. So you can show everybody that design. You can show everybody just a blank, or you can take a permanent marker if you want and draw a design on there, or maybe some nail polish. I might cover it with clear nail polish to get it to last longer, but you go, flip bead ring, fabulous choice. I'm not wearing any scarves today, folks. I just wasn't inspired. What are we drinking? Well, today we got Codenopsis back, and we've gotten two orders in from two different herb suppliers. So we've got a few basics back, which is beautiful. And at the same time, oh my gosh, ran out of roses. So chamomile's back, jasmine is back. There's a whole bunch of really wonderful things that are back, but putting the next order together today. So Codenopsis, because that came in, and I was excited to be able to drink that again. Little burdock, because I'm still trying to make sure that my little eczema doesn't creep back in, and that seems to do a pretty good job of it. And a little bit of lemon balm, just to chill out, relax, and have a nice day. So it does affect brain chemistry according to the research that's been done, and that's the brain chemistry I think I need right now. So here we go. That's what we're drinking, what we're wearing. What is happening here? Well, of course, last night I taught the Materia Medica portion for this month's Herbalism Year 1 class. That was fun. It was fantastic. We went from, the whiteboard is in front of me right now. We went from asparagus root to bay leaf. So asparagus cochinensis to Laurus nobilis. It was a blast. Got to make fun of some herbs, got to tout a few herbs that I think are brilliant and wonderful. And it's one of those classes where I love this herb. It seems to come out of my mouth constantly. Always fun. If you are interested in starting your herbal journey with our Year 1 series, which is a 9-month weekly class or a 9-month, once a month, all day seminar, depends on the format I set it out in. Might try the seminar method this next year. So if you're like, I can commit to one full Sunday a month, it'll be the time to sign up, frankly. If you're looking to do it online, you can. We will send you an herb kit, so there is an additional fee for that herb kit. If you're wanting to do it online, we encourage a lot of hands-on. You're going to want some photos of relatives for diagnosis classes and friends. If you're going to do it long distance and you can't be doing the exercises with us in class as easily, but it is a lot of fun, and people have to call in for the class all the time. So not to worry. If you're far away, you can still take Herbalism 1 if you'd like. Fabulous class. Tonight I'll be teaching Year 3. It's always fun to teach. There are a total of 3 years, except for the one class that told me at the end of Year 3 they weren't done, and they made me teach them seminars on specific health issues. So if you're looking for an all-day seminar on any of a variety of health issues, just let me know. We've got, oh gosh, I don't have comments on. There we go. We've got everything from reproductive health to autoimmune issues to simple things like stress, you name it. I just fulfilled their requests. It was a fabulous 4th year for our class. The rest of what's going on for the next few weeks, at least, on Saturday, the 28th of February, Alliance Coven will be meeting up at noon with their Dedicants group. So that's an opportunity for you to either meet them at the beginning or end of that class. So at noon or at 2, if you just want to check the people out and say hi, that's the time to stop in. Later on Saturday the 28th, Adam will be teaching his most popular astrology series, which is Magical Astrology. Getting rave reviews, really enjoying it. Very glad it's being taught here. It's really kind of cool. So I recommend that. That Alliance Coven meeting is just for their dedicants. And the magical astrology class is a by donation class. So that's a class where pay what you can afford to pay for the class. I've seen people pay little to nothing. I've seen people pay $50, figuring they're trying to cover somebody else's standard class fee, which for a 2-hour class is usually going to run here in the Twin Cities in Minnesota 25-ish, give or take, maybe up to 35. It really depends on the class, the supplies involved. If you're going to walk away with stuff, it's usually a little more, but I see 25 a lot as a 2-hour class standard. That said, the following Saturday, the 7th, we will have at noon, again, the Alliance Coven. So if you want to just meet them and check them out, you want to be here at noon when they're arriving, or at 2 as they're getting ready to go and maybe do a little shopping here. But at 3, we have another by donation class, which is taught by Eshu, and that is American Hoodoo and Folk Magic. Great class. I think he's going to be getting into magical candle making this next time, if I remember correctly. Check it out with him, though. He's here doing tarot readings on a very regular basis. Ooh, I did not bring the tarot reader's schedule. I will do my best with that, but I didn't grab it before I came in. Sorry, guys. The 8th, on Sunday, we're talking about the discussion group that's on Gardnerianism for people interested in following that path or exploring the possibility of following that path. That's at 10 before we open, 10 to 11. And that's followed later in the afternoon at 3:30 by Nancy Antonucci's Tarot Lab. On Saturday the 14th, we have all day in our classroom, Journey into Magical Practice. We appear to have a little class conflict in our schedule that I'll get cleared this week, and I'll tell you more about container magic when I know exactly when it's going to be, but I don't think it can be on Saturday the 14th because we have an all-day event in this room that day with Journey into Magical Practice. That's a fantastic group. They're a hybrid group. The rituals are here, and the classes are online. So they're meeting up here for a ritual, which is always a visual feast. The leaders of this group, they really value the visual. So if only for that presentation, oh my gosh, the rituals are really good. They're well planned, but the visuals for them they outdo everything I've ever seen in my life. So totally recommend coming down to that. On Sunday the 15th, Reiki 1 will be up. If you're interested in starting your Reiki journey, this is a great class to take. The class presentation materials take about 2 hours. Then we do some attunements for anybody involved. Those attunements are done the old-fashioned way, so they're done one at a time. So how long the class takes is honestly dependent on how many people sign up for Reiki 1. And when the attunements are done, we have some practice time. We'll take a good hour or so for practice time. So it depends on the class size, how long the class is, but it's always a good class. And it just gives you the basics of your Reiki 1. Later in that day, on Sunday the 15th at 4, we have Jessica Settergren's group on dealing with chronic illness and all of the feelings that entails. Now, I've mentioned her before. Jessica Settergren is the author of Defying Shadows. You'll find this in our Wicca Witchy Pagan section online and at the shop. And it is based on her life's journey, having been diagnosed with breast cancer in 2019. And I'll just read you a little bit on the back here. Despite living in a world where breast cancer awareness is highly visible and offers a myriad of support, she found herself uniquely alone, as none of the options for patients and survivors featured a pagan perspective. So she sets out to fill the gap for pagan and witch-friendly cancer support. And in the book, you will find excellent techniques and tips to help you continue your practice, even as you're undergoing the various exhausting therapies that you go through when you are battling cancer using things like radiation or chemo and surgery. So it's not to say you cannot also use herbs in conjunction with that if it's by somebody who understands what you can and can't do. This isn't something I would wing it on my own. I would see a specialist. I know I've had a number of clients over the years where that's what we've worked on. is the supportive therapies for their cancer treatments. It does seem to make a difference. They do seem to be better able to handle more rounds of chemotherapy within a given session, more just better able to handle the toll it takes on the physical body to go through the cure process for many a cancer. But there are ways to perform spells in here. There are meditations for wellness, low energy rituals for every Sabbath is in here. So if you know someone who's going through it, and they don't have to have cancer, they could have rheumatoid arthritis, they could just have long-term chronic health issues that make accessibility an issue for them, this is a really valuable book. And the group, the grief group, the group that she runs on Sunday the 15th at 4, is an extension of her work, not just of the book, but also her volunteer work. As someone who's in remission, she has also volunteered to help other people going through what she went through. So she's been part of a buddy system, for example, where she's paired with someone who has just been diagnosed, and she gets to help them through their experiences as they start the journey that she's completed now, and is now doing the aftercare portion, because that it never ends. Just want to tell you now, it never ends if this is you. So this is a great group to meet up with on Sunday the 14th, Sunday the 14th at 4 p.m. You really will find value in the meetings if you're able to attend, and in the book if you can't attend the meetings. We, of course, had a book signing when the book came out, so our copies are autographed. They say be well, and then she's signed her name, which is a treat. I think I have a few, maybe 3 copies of this one left from the signing. Not a ton, but we'll get more if we actually run through them. If we run through them all. But she's amazing and she's fabulous. And the last meeting was really nice. The people in the meeting were wonderful. It was just really pleasant. It's a very pleasant experience. And then, of course, the last event I'm going to mention is that I will not be here on Sunday the 22nd. I know I'm always here on Sundays. I will not be here on Sunday the 22nd because I'm going to spend that whole weekend at Paganicon. Paganicon is happening, spring equinox, March. That's March 21st, 22nd this year. And I will be there. My assistant will be my teenager. So I will have a feral teenager running about the place, waiting for me to text them with, bring me water, bring me food, need bathroom break. But I will be at the table. We will be having a blast. I really look forward to it. Let me know what you guys would like to see us bring. I will warn you now, though, that whenever I do a convention or a large event like this, I look and see who's coming, and I try to select things that don't directly compete with some of those other vendors. I really try to take care of the whole room in that one little way that I can. So if there's, say, a tarot card company coming, I won't bring any tarot cards except ones that I have access to directly through the creators. I'll bring those. I'll bring Roger, our founder's deck, which is a beautiful Egyptian deck. Absolutely lovely. And one by a delightful gentleman named Taylor Bell. Local fellow, used his graphics degree to design this fantastic tarot deck. They're both based on the Thoth deck. One applies a bit more Egyptian mythology. The other breaks it down just into sigils. And what I thought was very cool about the first version of that deck that came out was that it was black on black. And that was it. It was shiny versus matte. And that's it. And then a friend said, can you do one in color for me? And he went, oh, duh, yes, I can. The colors are already associated with the cards. So he re-rendered the art using the colors associated with each card. And it's absolutely gorgeous. The other has these brilliant paintings that were turned into the major arcana, and then sort of a binary system for the minor arcana with a keyword on each card. They are wonderful to read with. And one of our readers, actually the gentleman I mentioned earlier who teaches the American Hoodoo and Folk Magic class, among others, that's Wes Eshu, one of his favorite decks. It's quickly become a deck he really likes reading with. So if you want to see the deck in action, come and see him read. He is one of our readers. He does tarot and palmistry here, and he's here multiple times a week, although I know there's been some switch-ups with substitutions lately. So if you know you want to see a particular reader, just for the next couple of weeks, you might want to call in and make sure they're really there, because there are a few people who are taking vacations. There are a few people who are taking time off for trainings and other things. So I recommend checking in just for the next few weeks or so, just up through about spring equinox, just to make sure. But Eshu will be here. He is a delight. I hang out with him on Sundays here, as well as some other days of the week. Ravenwolf is another really excellent tarot reader we have here. Highly recommended. Great guy to get a reading with. Thoughtful, thorough. They're both very different styles of presentation of their readings, but both excellent readers. Daryl, or Probably Daryl, as I like to call him, Probably Daryl does oracle deck readings, and he does it with his own oracle deck that he created himself. Even if you just want a free tour of the deck, it's worth stopping by when Daryl's here, because the deck is amazing. Even the way it's cut, which isn't the standard card shape, is a really thoughtful way of creating a deck, so that when you lay them out, they fit together in ways that make for a more interesting reading in some aspects. So recommend a reading from him, but also just a tour of his deck if you get a chance. We also, on Saturdays, for half of our Saturday afternoons, we have the beautiful and wonderful Margaret. She is an outstanding tarot reader as well. Totally recommend her. Often, if one of the readers is out, Daryl lives in the neighborhood and he will often sub in. So if somebody is gone, you might see Probably Daryl there instead, which is a fabulous fate, if you ask me. And of course, on Mondays, if you are having some dreams and you want to help figuring them out, we have a dream interpreter in for about 4 hours from 2 to 6. He's here, Paul's here, and he's wonderful. Goes by Morpheus. Really insightful dream interpretation, and the real benefit of talking to somebody about your dream interpretation as opposed to looking up some help online or in a book is that he can take you into account in the interpretation. So if you're like, yeah, I heard about that, or I read about that part of interpreting this symbol in my dream this way, but it doesn't make any sense when I think about it, he can walk you through how it might fit in with that interpretation. And he can also walk you through what it might mean other than that standard meaning based on your life and your life experiences. So he's a great person to talk with if you're looking for some dream interpretation. Only here Mondays, only here for 4 hours, so 2 to 6. So he's only here once a week. Margaret is here only once a week, just for a part of Saturday afternoon. So if you want those two specifically, you got to go on those days. The other guys are here multiple days. For example, Probably Daryl is here for the first 2 hours from noon to 2 on Mondays, but they're all here. But all the guys are here multiple days other than Morpheus and Margaret. So that's our readers. Hopefully, sorry, I don't have the precise schedule, but hopefully it's all good. Oh yes, at the bottom of my list of events, my little crib sheet, I have a note to mention parking. So we get asked a lot where somebody can park, especially if there's no spots available in front of the store on the street. We're on Central Avenue at a super busy intersection for Minneapolis, and the parking is free. If you're up here, you're shopping, you can absolutely park on the street for free. There's a few places where you can't park. Like there's a spot around the corner that one side of the street is just, there's no parking on it. But there is a church 1 block south of us and 1/2 block west of us. So it's off of Lowry, our cross street, 1/2 block west of Central Avenue. And it is the parking lot for the St. Clemens Catholic Church. And before we actually fully moved in here, because we were refurbishing for about a month and moving things in for about a month, during that month, I made a point of calling St. Clemens, which actually meant calling Holy Cross, because they manage the St. Clemens and they manage 3 Catholic Church locations, to see if we could get permission to park in their lot. I didn't want to just park in it randomly. And of course, I didn't say this to them, but I intended to make a donation if the parking was free, because I wanted to help pay for the maintenance of the lot, which we did. We made a donation last year for, I don't know, I think it was a few hundred, just for having parked there since June. The parking right now is free there. And when you park in that lot, you will naturally park in the very worst spots for the people going to the church. Volunteers, parishioners who want to go to the church, they're going to park further south than you will because they want to get to the church doors quickly. You're going to park at the northern end because you want to get to the shops quickly that are on that intersection of Central and Lowry here in Minneapolis. So I highly recommend parking there. It's probably going to switch over to a low-cost pay lot, again, just to help maintain the parking lot going forward, but I would still get in the habit of parking there. It's going to be well worth it. And it looks like the way it's going to be set up is that the various businesses that you might patronize here will have a QR code that you can use once you've made some level of minimum purchase for an hour's pre-parking. So go to the retail shops you want to go to first, rack up an hour or two, make your purchase, get your deck here or your book or your candles, and then go have lunch maybe at Francis or one of the other shops, one of the other restaurants nearby, and they too may be having that QR code so that you can get a free hour from each of those vendors possibly. We're basically subsidizing your parking at that point. But really recommend the St. Clemens Church parking lot. It's very close. I park there every day I'm here, so that's usually 5 or 6 days a week. Highly recommend that parking spot. Easy to find, easy to do. So some stuff I have to show you guys today, because you're right, I have no guests today. I do have some authors coming up, though. We're scheduling someone right now. In fact, just emailed them. And there's already some authors scheduled. But some of the things that are going to be going up here that are actually available for us on Amazon right now. So you can order them on Amazon if you're interested and you can't come in the shop, but they're also going to be upstairs in our glassed doored bookcase. The Invisible Influence. I just love these old covers. I love these. Great shape, still in really good shape. I would have to call this maybe a near fine book with a very good cover just because of the tear. There's a little 1-inch tear here on the dust jacket. But this is a book that is going to give you a mid-20th century perspective, American perspective on things like Tibet, the Far East, yogis, fakirs, all of that stuff that really was built up as being legendary in this era. So there'll be some facts in here and some interesting perspectives. If this type of stuff is your jam, you'll find it upstairs here for a little while, or you'll find it on our Amazon sales account. Like I said, these were all from our Amazon bookshelves. This one is kind of fun. This is Magical Tatwas. It's a system that's meant to combine the stuff in the last book with Western ceremonial magical thinking. So it is actually a really interesting read, and then what you end up doing because you've read the book can be really revealing. It can really help you figure some stuff out, your personal associations with some things. Really good little book. In fact, we have the whole kit available on ABE, but just the book in this case. But got to look up the price. I didn't see the price. I'm going to put it over here. Another oldie but goodie. 2 essays by Christian D. Ginsburg, The Essenes and the Kabbalah. You know what it's about. I said the Kabbalah, right? So Jewish mysticism, the Essenes, so history. This is a beautiful little book that you can either find on our Amazon listings or once again here at the shop. If you don't see it on our Amazon listings, just give us an email or a call from the website, magusbooks.com. Give us a call. The number is 612-379-7669 in case you're desperate to call. We're only open noon to 6 Central Time, though, so be prepared for the phone not to get answered if it's outside those hours. Like right now. Wouldn't answer the phone now. Sorry. I'm too busy talking to you already. So the next one I have for you guys is this beautiful, oh, good gods, almost as new condition on a book called Consciousness. So this is a fun one. It's about $50. It is from 1923. It looks to be a first edition of this. And I like that it's dedicated to all lovers of truth. So this is one of those books that explores what truth is, what meaning is, invites you to a more deeper experience of your own thought processes and your own reality. So, but from a 1923's perspective, so kind of fun. For a more modern book, I have by Carolyn Claire Townsend, Dancing with the Juggler. So this is one of those books that helps figure out tarot and using tarot magically, not just for readings, but in other ways as well. And it goes through the meanings of various cards in depth. It's not a bad little book. And it's using one of the Celtic tarot decks as a reference point. So fabulous little book. If you're looking for a classic in divination, that one's very good, but maybe you want to look at Niblo's The Complete Palmist. This is one of those early books that just keeps getting reprinted and reprinted and reprinted. So it's not super expensive, but it's The Complete Palmist. It's by Niblo. It's just a classic. It first came out in 1900. So some of the stuff is like old fashioned. Like I would not take his interpretation of the Mount of the Moon very seriously because we're still coming out of that era when the moon was about deception, and it's not always anymore. It's been looked at again since that came out, but fascinating perspective. This is a book I have used as a palmistry reference in the past myself. That exact copy sits on my personal bookshelves somewhere. It's true. I work in a bookstore. I have a lot of books, and my living room might look a little bit like an open room in a library. But among the other options I've got here, this one is a nice $70 one. So this is the priciest one I've seen so far. It's Astrology, Your Place Among the Stars. This is by Evangeline Adams. She's a classic author on the subject. So it's not a bad little book if you want to pick those up. And then I've got something by our very own, Twin Cities, Minnesota, born and raised author, Scott Michael Stenwick. And it's his novel, Arcana. This is one of his first earliest writing adventures. It's a fun read, recommended book, $25. It's a good deal, frankly. You can't find it everywhere. And then I've got a copy of Dennis McKenna's The Brotherhood of the Screaming Abyss. This is a great autobiography / biography. Look back at Dennis McKenna's life with his brother, Terence McKenna. Now, Terence McKenna passed away early, midlife. He was, they are both renowned for exploring entheogenic herbs in probably the 60s, late 60s, 70s, 80s. They were definitely inspired by people like Timothy Leary, one would presume. So it's a fascinating read. This is the hardcover version. I have a few copies of this, but not very many. And there's one up on Amazon. This would be the takes the prize for the most expensive book of the day, but it's a good read. And if you're interested in entheogenic herbs and how they have gone from Wasson to Leary to the McKennas and beyond, this is a good stepping stone in that history. I'd recommend it for that reading as well. So that's what I've got for stuff. A whole host of new books have been released by one of the publishers we work with. So we've entered those in our system, or actually we're still in the process of getting those in our system. So we'll start seeing them come in late next week. So I'll have a whole bunch of new release books to show you next week, which will definitely be fun. But these books will be upstairs and available on Amazon.com. If you don't see all of them on Amazon, that's okay. Just reach out, contact us, and we can walk you through the process of ordering it. That is not a big deal at all. One of the Liz's, myself or Liz, who's just arrived, I heard her come in, will help you through that process. And one of us is almost always here. There's a few hours on Friday where that's not true, but otherwise you can get one of us. Just ask for Liz. One of us will be there. In the meantime, one of the things I started thinking about, probably because I was thinking about Paganicon being on spring equinox and spring equinox coming up, I was curious to know what you guys do for your spring equinox, your celebrations of that Sabbath, that turning of the wheel, if you in fact celebrate, if you're in that witchy, Wiccan, pagan side of the types of spirituality that we delve into here. Or maybe you do it because somebody in your household is into that stuff. For us, it's always been about sort of planting the seed. It's been about fanning the spark of new life would be how I would think of it. So that can mean for us spring cleaning and then donating some of the things we want to get rid of to help someone else spark a new beginning for themselves with maybe some clothes that we've donated or some toys or just fun objects that we don't need anymore and someone else can make good use of. So for us, that can be part of spring equinox. Sometimes it's also, I live in a very northern climate. We're not setting gardens at this stage. It's way too early here. There could still be frost coming into the ground. We're not planting here at spring equinox, but we might start seedlings inside on spring equinox. This is also an era where spring equinox is coming up in about a little under a month. I might, depending on the year, I might go get some bulbs and grab my bulb vase and start a flower to have it ready and blooming around about spring equinox, just to celebrate the Sabbath coming up. These are not formal rituals. These are not, we'll do those as well. I have a lovely spring equinox ritual that I go through every year. It's fabulous. In fact, sometimes we do two. We might do two this time. I'm not sure. One for initiates, one for pre-initiates for my path, which is fabulous. I love doing both of them. But what do you guys do for your spring equinox? Do you think about that balance of light and dark being the same on that day? Is that a big part of how you think of it? It is sometimes how I will think of it, and I will think about that balance and that need to balance oneself and the world around you, so that I will honestly think about, okay, what political actions have I taken to help balance scales? What volunteer things have I done to help balance scales of, usually, honestly, my volunteer work is centered around things like poverty. So, what have I done this year? What do I want to do going forward? So this is kind of where, for me, it's like a secondary evaluation point. Everything's light and dark balanced in the universe. How do I reflect it down here? What do I need to do to help balance the scales here? Is part of my honest thinking. And that also ties back to the idea that I'm now fanning that spark to get a whole flame to come up to move forward through the year. That whole like getting life, not just having it's not about having a seed anymore to me. That was maybe the last Sabbath, or the Sabbath before that, but rather it's now about getting the seedling to come up, right? So I often think about, what actions am I taking to help balance the scales in my world, the world I live in, and the world other people live in. So if I don't think there's anything this year I particularly need to do, not true this year, but there have been years when life has been pretty good, I will look further afield. Do I need to maybe make a donation to an organization that helps people in another continent? And it's been a minute since I've had to do that, honestly, because even when times have been good by my estimation, we've had things like shortages of physicians and nurses and other parts of this country that I've wanted to help out with. So it's part of what keeps me on my herbalism crusade, to be honest with you. But as I'm approaching spring equinox, I'm starting to think more and more about how to balance things out, fanning my own ambitions, my own inspirations, my own wants into things that will actually bloom and become tangible things in my life. Maybe not this year, but certainly in the coming years. It really depends on the size of the project we're talking about, right? You can't really say that you've done the job, say, of parenting until that child or those children are independent adults. Well, I have a teenager. I'm a few years away from that being even possible at this point. So, getting my burdock and my Cotinopsis here, my lemon balm. So whether it's a short-term project that I know I'll see the results of within a few months, or a long-term project that might take 20 years, this is a time when I reflect just a little bit, sort of check my plans to make sure I'm moving forward in a healthy way. Not just for the world around me, but also for myself. Like, how much can I genuinely contribute? How much time do I really have? How much cash do I really have? How much knowledge do I really have that can be helpful, and where can it be helpful? So I think we talk a lot about, if you have money, you can donate money. If you don't have money, you can donate time. I also think you can donate expertise, and I think that's vital as well. So if you really know how to reach people, maybe volunteer to be a speaker. If you really know how to sew, okay, sewing is a great thing to volunteer to do. And if you don't have time for the sewing projects, you can probably offer a tutorial for people who do have the time and would love to become better at that art. So it is about more than time and money. It's also about your own expertise. Check in with yourself. I'd encourage it in these next few weeks and make a plan for yourself going forward. How are you going to take those beginning ambitions, those little sparks of inspiration that you've had, and keep that flame going and growing so that things come to fruition and you can actually put in your hands the object of your work, even if that's somebody that you hug because they're amazing people and you want to help people rather than make stuff. They're all viable things. They all benefit us all potentially. So I encourage you to take a moment for yourself, for your family, if you're in a family setting, roommates, what have you, and find ways you will be able to contribute that make you feel good and make the world around you a better place. I think that's part of what Equinox is all about. You're getting ready to plant those seeds, even if it's just indoors, like we're doing up here in the Midwest. Well, I'm running short on time. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Loved all of you who tune in live. Love all of you who catch us on the replay. On behalf of myself and the rest of the crew, thank you all so much for all the things that you do, whether it's volunteer work, whether it's donations, whether it's remembering to do those rituals and meditations to enhance peace, tranquility, and equality. We love all of that. We love you for being your best magical you. And of course, for the little magical things you can do here in social media land. I know you know what they are. Thank you so much for that. Have a wonderful week for now. And of course, blessed be.